Hi, everyone. This is Andy Davis. I'm here with Mark Kujala, who is running for County Commissioner for, it is District 1 in Clatsop County. Is that correct, Mark?
That's correct.
Mark, thank you for joining us today, and thank you for running again for County Commissioner. We appreciate your public service and your willingness to continue doing it. But we want to get to know you a little bit and ask you some questions about you as a candidate.
Yeah, thanks. Well, thanks, Andy. I really appreciate having the opportunity to have this forum and tell folks a little bit about myself.
Great. So let's start with that and just ask you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what kind of experiences and expertise you bring to the county as a commissioner?
Well, sure. Yeah, so I'm born and raised here in Clatsop County. I grew up in a fishing family. My dad fished his entire life, started a seafood company, and I worked in that most of my entire adult life. He just recently passed away in November, but growing up in a fishing family, you realize, I think, the socioeconomic importance of the industries like fishing and logging, and that's why I really have an affinity for fishing families and logging families and appreciation for what they bring to the community. And I got started regularly going to public meetings back in the early 2000s. And at the time, Warrenton was going through a DLCD periodic review, which is really similar to what we're doing at the county right now with the comp plan review, and along with our planning commission, citizen advisory committees. And back then, I was doing a lot of research and testifying at the planning commission and the city commission meetings. And it was Gil Drampson, who was the former city manager, and he later was on the commission, and I served along with him. But he kind of encouraged me, and even though it was a couple of years away from election, he thought, you should really think about running for the city commission. And I did in 2004, and I served for 12 years as a city commissioner in Warrenton. And I was elected mayor of Warrenton and served as mayor for a total of 5 years. I was both appointed and elected. And then I ran for the county commission back in 2018. I love it. I'm just so pleased to have, the ability to represent my community, work with the talented staff that we have at Clatsop County, to work with my fellow commissioners and our counterparts in city government, local government, and the leadership in our businesses and our nonprofits. Really just humbled and honored to serve and to be elected as the chair now, both last year and this year. It's really, this is my way, I think, to give back and engage with my community. I know others have, the capacity to give financially, or they have some unique skill or a talent. They're a doctor or a teacher or a coach or something. And, I think my expertise is just listening and trying to build consensus and compromise where necessary. Elections are too often, about dividing people, and governing is all about bringing people together. So that's what I like to do. I would much rather bring people together than push people apart, and something I think we need now more than ever.
Okay. Thank you, Mark. Let's go for the second question we've got here, which is just why are you running for this position, and especially what things do you want to accomplish in a second term?
Okay. Well, I'm running because I think we have unfinished business, and so much of this first term has been involved in kind of responding to a pandemic. I'm really proud of Clatsop County's response. I'm proud of our public health department. They've been steadfast and resolute throughout. And our administration, our staff were outstanding. They overcame so much. Public health, combined with the hospitals and our local nonprofits and, 300 or so volunteers for the vaccine task force. And with those mass vaccination clinics, I think we ultimately placed in either the top 5 or 6 of all the counties in Oregon for percentage of vaccinated adults, at least through the first round. I know we kind of lagged in the boosters, but through the first round, we did really well. And, the county worked with Cedar to get relief funds to those businesses and those in the community that needed it most. And and really just our first responders and our frontline caregivers, our law enforcement, everybody remained resilient and prepared and united throughout. So, hopefully we're looking beyond COVID for the next 4 years. And, we're going into year 2 of the strategic planning process, or the strategic plan that we put together last year. And, we have some really ambitious priorities: housing and homelessness, childcare, broadband, wastewater treatment, aging water infrastructure like levees and tie gates. And, I think our county manager listed, I think, 65 projects that we're currently working on in one stage or another. And these range from, the marketing of the North Coast Business Park to the finishing of the county jail. And much of this has gone on through the pandemic. And so, it'll be terrific to see what we can accomplish without public health dominating so much of the background. And I think it was at our last planning commission, at our strategic planning committee meeting at the Guy Boynton building, where, we virtually had consensus from the county commissioners on what our priorities should be in 2022. And that's pretty rare. I think in a lot of counties right now, there's a lot of division. There's not a lot getting done. There's been some hard feelings throughout the pandemic, and I'm proud that really isn't the case in our county. And I think we have a solid plan for going forward. And so that's what I want to do in the next 4 years, is work forward on our strategic plan and focus on housing, focus on childcare. Those are some big issues, and they're going to require a lot of attention and time.
Yeah. Thank you, Mark. I certainly hope we have less pandemic to deal with in the coming time too.
I certainly hope so too.
Yeah. Okay, so let me ask. So related, you may have touched on some points, but so for the past 4 years, are there things that you think the commission could have done better, or things that you would have changed out of the way that things were handled?
Oh, sure. I think there's a lot of learning to be done over the last 4 years about how you respond in an emergency. But I think, kind of going back to one of the bigger, I think, one of the things we could have done better, I think, land use is just a really complex and controversial activity often and for local government. And it's a thankless job to be a community volunteer. And it's so good that we have such good volunteers in Clatsop County that are willing to step in, give their time and effort, and serve as a planning commissioner or as a citizen advisory committee member. And they do it because they care, and because most of the time they have a background or some experience and knowledge that can benefit the process and the formulation of a comprehensive plan or other type of land use activity. And I think when we as a commission decided to pause the comp plan review and reset, I think the communication from the commission was poor. And I think I have to take a lot of responsibility for that. I'm the chair. So I could have communicated, I think, better. And it had nothing to do with the staff. The staff are fantastic. They've done a terrific job. I think we as commissioners didn't adequately explain, what we were trying to do, why we were doing it, what the plan going forward was. And I think it left a lot of citizens advisory members kind of scratching their heads and feeling, underappreciated or undervalued. And we heard that in public meetings after the fact. And I think that's just one thing I would have changed. I would have done a better job of communicating that decision to pause and done a better job in advance and made a stronger case for why we're taking a break and restructuring. I'm really glad that the process is continuing forward. We're making, a lot of progress through the goals, and we've got good community input, and I'm hopeful that in the end we'll have a comp plan that the entire staff, elected officials, community, and volunteers can all be happy with.
Thank you, Mark. And I'll just ask, we've got a minute or two here. Is there anything else you'd like to touch on as far as your comments today?
Well, no, I just I feel like this has been a good process for me. I've been taking the opportunity to kind of think ahead of the next 4 years, and I just the biggest things that you do as a county commissioner is you hire a good county manager and you develop a strategic plan. And we really have our county manager to thank for creating our strategic plan or getting us set in the right frame of mind. And that's, I think, in kind of looking at what we've identified, which I think are very ambitious goals to have in areas of infrastructure and governance and social services. And I think that we're really set in a good place. And again, I just got to give a lot of credit to my fellow commissioners. We've done a Herculean job in a really challenging time. And again, thanks to all of our community volunteers. Andy, members of the budget committee, you serve as the chair of the budget committee. That really, we set the priorities based on how we dedicate, our budget and what we dedicate our budget towards. So it's a crucial position. And so I'm just, I'm encouraged on where we're going. And certainly I'd like to encourage anybody that has things they want to share with me or questions they have for me to reach out to me.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mark. So again, we very much appreciate you coming and talking to us directly, and also, stepping up to run again. And you have no opposition as far as I've heard. And so we appreciate you being county commissioner again, but thank you for allowing us to hear from you and know what you're looking for going into this next term. Thank you, Mark.
Yep.
We appreciate your time.
Thank you, Andy. Appreciate having the opportunity to be on here with you.